The next question is, what does your husband think of you being a homemaker? He's actually over there right now. What do you think of me being a homemaker?
I love it.
He says he loves it. I think this question is kind of funny because it's not like I just decided one day to be a homemaker and, you know, you just have to deal with it, husband. That's not how it went down. You know, it was a mutual decision. It was something that both of us decided as a team, and that's how I think it should be. Everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I run the blog called Mrs. Midwest, which I am almost certain you are already aware of if you've clicked on this video, because today we are celebrating the fact that we have passed the 100K milestone by doing a 100K Q&A. So I want to give a very warm thank you to everyone who has clicked that subscribe button and officially joined the feminine family. We would not be here without you. It's pretty obvious, but I wouldn't have 100K subscribers if it wasn't for you guys. This, honestly, it feels like it kind of has nothing to do with me. It's all about you. It's all about all of you who have supported me, supported my channel, so thank you. Also, say hello to my handsome husband. He is doing some things in the background. But we are going to be diving into the 50 questions that I have sourced from all of you from across the corners of the internet. Starting with the first question, how old am I? I am 24 years old. Next question is, how tall am I? I am 5'8". I don't know what that is in meters and centimeters, but I am a tall Dutch girl. Which brings me to the third question, which is, what is your ethnic background? I have Dutch grandparents on both sides, but one of my grandmothers was Finnish. I actually still have cousins in the Netherlands, and we can track back that family lineage pretty far. The fourth question is, did I go to college? And yes, contrary to some people's beliefs, I did go to college. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Strategic Communications, which is basically the study of public relations, advertising, and digital media. So a lot of what I'm doing right now. The next question is, where do I live? And I'm not obviously going to give specifics, but I live in the Midwest, kind of near Lake Michigan in the United States. A lot of you have asked, what does my husband do for a living? He is a law enforcement officer. And you've also asked, how did I meet him? We actually met on a study abroad with our university. We stayed in Jerusalem for a month, touring around that city, and that's kind of how I got to know him. That's how we met. And we also, the next question is, how long did we date before getting married? And we only knew each other and dated for 1.5 years before we said I do. So not long, but it was the perfect timing for us because we got married right after I graduated university. The next question I've seen a lot is, how did I start blogging? So if you've watched my first Q&A, you kind of know my story of how I became a homemaker, but basically after I quit my 9-to-5 job, I did some freelance work for about 6 months. I volunteered at my church. I tried to find some babysitting gigs. We live in a small town, so I was hoping maybe to be a part-time receptionist or something, but I just could not get a job to save my life. I could not even get the position of a social media manager, even though I was way overqualified because I had a lot of work experience. So it just kind of was closed door after closed door after closed door, even with my freelance work. So I kind of just started blogging just to kind of pass the time a little bit more, to start up a new hobby, and because I had a passion to share my thoughts on beauty, homemaking, femininity. I've seen a lot of questions about if I dye my hair, and if I do, what do I ask at the salon? And unfortunately, no, I do not dye my hair. This stuff at the bottom that's a little bit lighter was from back when I did dye my hair, but from about here to here, it's all my natural color. So I have a bit darker of a blonde, and I'm so thankful I stopped dyeing my hair because it's so much healthier. You can see information about that in my glow up video. This next question I've also answered before. It's a little odd, but I've seen people ask if my teeth are fake, which I think they mean, are your teeth veneers? And no, they are not veneers. These are my natural teeth. I did have braces though when I was about 13 for a slight overbite. You can see that I have an overbite right now. And I used to have a little bit more of one, but I've always had straight teeth. I honestly don't really feel like braces was very necessary for me. The next question I saw before, which kind of shocked me, but someone asked if I got a nose job. And no, this is my natural nose. You can see I have a slight bump right here. It's a pretty prominent nose. I used to want a nose job, if that counts, but now I'm fine with my nose. I love it. I think it fits my my face. I have big features and I'm okay with it. So nope, did not get a nose job. I've seen a lot of you want my opinion about plastic surgery. Do I think it's wrong? What are my thoughts on it? And I feel like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it because I've seen a lot of people's lives improve after getting plastic surgery. I have a lot of people I love in my life who have got, you know, fillers, Botox, minor procedures, I guess you could say. But then I've also seen the negative effects where, you know, we've all seen those Instagram models that they don't even look like their former self, and it kind of feels like they just keep getting procedure after procedure. So I definitely fall on the side where I prefer a more natural look, but obviously if someone was in an accident or they really wanted to just get rid of a forehead line or maybe something else on their body, I don't exactly have a problem with that. And I really feel like it's something that everyone has to decide for themselves. And also, if you're a Christian, kind of take it in with the Lord and see how it sits with your faith. The next question is, what does your husband think of you being a homemaker? He's actually over there right now. What do you think of me being a homemaker? He says he loves it. I think this question is kind of funny because it's not like I just decided one day to be a homemaker and, you know, you just have to deal with it, husband. That's not how it went down. You know, it was a mutual decision. It was something that both of us decided as a team, and that's how I think it should be. I honestly feel like if you want to be a homemaker but your husband doesn't want you to, you shouldn't do it unless you are both on the same page. You don't want someone resenting you. It's not fun to live life that way. So it's definitely a mutual choice, and it works especially for us because he works night shift. So when I was working a 9 to 5, we were like 2 ships passing in the night. You know, we never really saw each other, and the housework was not really being taken care of. We just felt like very scattered. So when I started staying home, things got much more organized at home. We were able to see each other more. We're able to be more flexible. You know, it's the middle of the week and we're up north enjoying a retreat together. So it's a really flexible lifestyle, and it really just, it works for us very well. I've seen questions about my ancestral diet. What do I eat? I don't follow a super specific ancestral diet. You know, I'm more just focused on avoiding super processed foods, avoiding fast food, avoiding a ton of options where it's like crackers, cookies, chips, breads, those kind of things. I really like to eat dairy and meats, cheeses. Tried to limit my fruit and sugar intake in general because I used to get kind of a lot of cavities, and it was really difficult on my teeth to have all that acid. Oh, hi! So I switched to a more ancestral diet just because I wanted to take better care of my teeth, because even though y'all think they're really nice enough to be veneers, I would get cavities. But I've noticed ever since limiting my fruit intake, limiting my sugars in general, my teeth have gotten much better. So yeah. I eat a lot of cheese, I eat a lot of eggs, I eat bacon, I drink whole milk, the whole 9 yards. Something very similar to what my European ancestors would have been eating. I've seen the question, what church do we belong to? And I grew up in the Christian Reformed Church. We're not a part of that denomination anymore. My husband grew up in the Presbyterian? Evangelical Presbyterian Church. We don't really have any of those in our hometown, so we are going to an Evangelical Covenant Church right now. We're not Orthodox, we're not Catholic, we are Protestant. Next question is, what books do I recommend? I'll leave some linked below. I've been finding so many more books lately that are about femininity. I know a lot of you are interested in that. I've seen the question a lot of who is your role model, and I would say obviously Christ. But after Christ, I would say maybe my grandmother on my father's side. She was so good at those traditional feminine tasks of hospitality. She was a wonderful mother. She volunteered a lot. She was really good at sewing and baking and cooking. She was just a very wise soul, a gentle soul. Up until the time she passed even, she was constantly, you know, talking about scripture, giving out really wonderful advice, and I just aspire to be like my grandmother. You know, someone that can offer the world peace and someone who lives their life in service for others. And I really hope that I can leave that legacy, especially when I have children and grandchildren. Which actually brings us to the next question of, do you want children? Yes, I want children. Some of you have been asking the question too, are you pregnant right now? Which, no, I'm not. I'm open to being pregnant in the next year or so. It would be so wonderful to start a family. I'm really looking forward to that, but no, I'm not currently pregnant. And the next question kind of goes along with this too. Some of you have been asking how many children I want, and I feel like every year I get older, I add another child on how many kids I want. But right now I would love to have 4 kids. I just think a big 6-person family would be so great. Where I grew up in Canada, I grew up in a little Dutch community in Canada. I swear every family had 4 kids, and it was just so exciting growing up with these big families in our community. You know, the more the merrier, but of course we will see, you know. Childbirth is no easy task. The next question is, will I do YouTube when I am a mom? And honestly, I hope so. I think that would be really wonderful to share my journey with you all, and I would love to do it, but of course we will cross that bridge when it comes to it. Next question is, where do you buy your clothes? I get this question all the time, and I'm so sorry to tell you, I thrift 90% of my closet, honestly. This sweater is, I think it's from Express originally, but it's thrifted. Everything is thrifted. I think part of the problem is thrifting has spoiled normal shopping for me, because when I buy a sweater like this for $3, it's really difficult for me to want to spend $60 or even $30 on one piece of clothing when I shop. I just feel completely spoiled. But as far as buying clothes online, I have found some nice outerwear pieces from the website Modanisa, which is a Middle Eastern company that's more modesty focused. And they have some really beautiful long outerwear pieces that I love. Next question is, what is your pet peeve? I feel like I have this very minor pet peeve that my husband knows about, but it's gravity. It's when purses fall off my shoulders just because they just slip off, or when a fork falls off my plate when I'm carrying my plate somewhere. It just drives me crazy. How do you film your YouTube videos? I film them on my iPhone 7 Plus with the front facing camera, and I was trying to get a nicer setup for y'all, and we'll probably get there someday. But yeah, I just film them on my phone. It's so simple. Next question is, how does your husband feel about YouTube? He's really supportive. He even watches my videos, he watches my vlogs, he moderates the comment section so I don't have to deal with people, you know, being really mean or anything. But he'll let me know if he sees a really sweet comment from one of you. So he is completely supportive. He has been nothing but incredible since the start of this. Next question is, how has YouTube changed your life? I will say it's made it busier. I now have, you know, a lot of videos to edit. I have a lot of stuff to do, but it's also changed my life in the sense that I've said this so many times before, but I feel like my perspective on the world has changed, because going into this, I felt like one of the last endangered species homemaker women in 2019. You know, I felt like there was nobody that believed this stuff that I did, nobody that agreed with me, and I felt super controversial in my traditional beliefs. But since starting my channel, accumulating subscribers, and just growing the feminine family, I don't feel so alone, and I realize that there are a lot of people who still support traditional living, who still support homemaking, and a lot of women who are interested in femininity. So I think the biggest change for me has just been, I definitely feel more hopeful. I feel more hopeful about the future for myself, for my future children. And I feel more hopeful even just for society in general, that we can have a space for women to feel comfortable expressing their femininity. I have so much more hope, and yeah, that's probably the biggest way it's changed my life. Next question is, how do I handle criticism? I definitely think there's a difference between criticism and bullying, harassment. And I think that we all are on a journey for what we believe, and, you know, we can plant seeds in other people. We can kind of maybe, you know, make them question their worldview, or we can make them be more firm in their worldview, but I don't believe it's up to us to just fully change other people. And so when someone's criticizing me in the hope of changing my mind, it's just not effective. But if they're, you know, being super rude to me, if they're being super rude to other people in the comment section, you know, swearing a lot, my husband will block you. So it's kind of a thing where we accept constructive criticism, we accept it. You know, if you could say that respectfully to my face, you can stay. You know, you don't have to agree with everything I say. We just expect people to be ladylike and elegant in the comments section. But, you know, there are certain forms of criticism that have been really helpful, you know, like lift your camera up higher, get a microphone, you know, change your intro music, like stuff like that. I don't mind as much. It's not about me personally, but yeah, ad hominem attacks are never nice, and they probably won't make you my favorite person ever. The next question is, how do I edit my photos? I use Lightroom. I have the Lightroom app on my phone. I use it for all my photos. I don't buy presets because you can literally make your own presets, okay? Anytime some sort of Instagram influencer is selling you a $50 pack of presets, just know that you can figure out how to make those on your own. You just have to use the app and kind of fiddle with the colors, fiddle with the lighting, and then save that combination as a preset in Lightroom. I know this might sound really complicated, but you can actually watch videos about how to create your own presets. So I really encourage you, don't be spending money if you don't have to on presets, unless you literally have no time to fiddle around on your phone. The next question is, what do I think of the pill? I don't know, I have mixed feelings. It's synthetic hormones, and a lot of you have asked if I have used the pill. And yes, I used it right after I got married for about a year and a half, and I had a bad experience with it. It felt like I was never regulated, and I always felt nauseous. You know, I've never experienced nausea in my life. I rarely get sick. I haven't been sick, you know, with the flu or anything like that in a couple years now. The only times I've gotten sick in the past couple years have been altitude sickness from our ski trips and from the pill, because I would get so nauseous I could just throw things up. It was horrible. So honestly, I don't think it's the most natural thing you could be doing. I don't think that it really served me well, but I do know that it's a medication that has helped other people. I've heard horror stories, I've heard success stories. It's something you're gonna have to research yourself, talk to your doctor about it, but would I go on it again? Absolutely not. I've seen this question too, what is your horoscope sign? I don't do that, I don't know. I'm born in the beginning of April, so y'all can figure that out, but I don't do that, I don't believe that. I'm a Christian, it's just not something I believe in, but you do you. Next question is, do I have a devotional recommendation? No, I don't read devotionals. I read the Bible, and then I'll read the study Bible as well if I need more expounding information about the Bible. I just don't really like devotionals all the time because I feel like they can be very emotional and they can kind of make me feel very, you know, self-centered. And instead of focusing on myself all the time when I'm trying to connect with the Lord, I want to focus on His love, His goodness, His omnipotence, and basically the stories as well in the Bible, and what I can gain from that truth and that wisdom straight from the source. I think devotionals can be really good for people, especially if you're just learning scripture or if you're just starting your faith. But I don't have a personally, you know, this is my go-to recommendation for a devotional. I just really recommend that you get a good study Bible. I will link the one I use below because in every footnote for the verses, it's basically a devotional, just because it really expounds on the scripture, its meaning, etc. So study Bible would definitely be my recommendation. Seen this question a lot. Some of you have asked, how do you tell a man you're traditional? My best advice is to not worry about this and to just live your traditional life and allow him to figure out if he's cool with that or not. The biggest thing I would say to you is, you don't need to come out and be like, I'm traditional, I believe this stuff, you know. Instead, I would just encourage you not to hide it. I know a lot of people don't believe this, but there is a huge community of traditional men out there being like, how do we find traditional women? And then there's all these traditional women being like, where are all the traditional men? And you're both out there, you're gonna find each other, it's gonna be okay. But the best thing you can do is don't hide it. You don't need to shove it in everyone's faces, but you don't need to hide it either. And you don't need to scare people off, because sometimes too, in our progressive society, people might be progressive, or they might think they're more progressive than they actually are once they get into a relationship. I have so many people I know who have gotten married and then the husband kind of realized, oh, I wish she would stay home, or I want her to cook me dinner. You know, he's actually more traditional than he realized. And so I think people can kind of change their perspectives on a lot of that. And so don't worry about it too much, but make sure that you're not marrying someone or dating someone who's extremely incompatible with you. Next question is, why did I start my blog? I feel like I kind of touched on this before, but I started it because I've always wanted to write. I love writing. I kind of would blog to myself. You know, I had a journal on Google Docs where I would just fill with my advice for people. I would fill it with my style information. I've just always loved that communication of ideas in the realms of, you know, women's interests, you know, femininity, homemaking, traditional women's interests, basically. I've always been interested in helping women and also just the journey of femininity. So that's kind of why I started my blog. I've always been interested in it. The next question is, what would I be doing if I did not end up getting married young? That's a really great question. You know, what would I do if I wasn't a homemaker right now? I feel like I would be working, obviously, to sustain myself. I had an internship in college that was at a publishing company doing their marketing, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like maybe if I didn't end up as a housewife homemaker or in the realm that I am in now, it would have been kind of fun to work in publishing, you know, in books and writing, because I've always loved that. Next question is, do you believe women should only wear skirts? No, I wear pants as well as skirts. Do you use Facetune? And no, I do not. I just edit my photos in Lightroom. Next question is, how did I meet my husband? And I've already answered that, but we met on a study abroad when we lived in Jerusalem for a month. Next question is, did I have boyfriends before my husband? Yes, I did. I dated. I did wait for intimacy, you could say, until marriage, but I did have boyfriends. I dated. I had always been interested in getting to know the opposite sex, you know, getting on the path to marriage eventually, and I had one serious college boyfriend and then one boyfriend right after high school. Next question is, have you had your heart broken? Yes, but not in the way you would expect. I have had, you know, relational heartbreaks, you know, disappointments, but I've also had my heart broken in, you know, non-romantic relationships with, you know, friendships and other kind of familial relationships. I don't think heartbreak is specifically attached to romantic relationships, because I think you can experience all of the aspects of heartbreak with almost any close relationship. You know, that loss of intimacy, that betrayal, those feelings of rejection or abandonment can happen in other, you know, relationships as well. Next question, do I have body insecurities? Yes, what girl doesn't? I think right now, you know, it's a moving target. I feel like sometimes, you know, for 6 months I'll be worried about this, and then later I'll be worried about that. I think lately I've been kind of insecure about my height, which is so funny because when I was growing up in Canada in my little Dutch pocket, I was average to short at 5'8". You know, it was so weird moving to the United States and then suddenly feeling like an Amazon giantess, so tall. So I think I'm still kind of, you know, having to adjust to that. I wish I was petite, but I cannot change that. Also struggled in the past being insecure about being kind of chesty. You know, I wanted to be more petite up top, so I would, you know, have that runway, really skinny kind of look. But again, not something you can really change, and I've just worked on accepting the body that God has given me, and I will have a video eventually about body insecurities, but yes, I do have them. Every girl has them. Next question, how did I get the courage to start blogging? I would say that my friend really helped me with this because she asked me the question, you know, what do you have to lose? And I realized, you know, no one would probably read my blog anyways, so I had nothing to lose by starting it. So basically when I began my blog, I felt like I was writing just for me. I wasn't writing to an audience, and then I got so in the habit of writing and so comfortable with it that by the time I did have an audience, it didn't even really feel like I did. You know, I still feel, especially on my blog, that I'm just talking to myself or to the Lord or to a close friend. I don't feel like I'm talking to 30,000 people. You know, it feels very comfortable. So I think with the courage to start blogging, just go for it. And then when you're ready to start marketing it, when you're ready to start sharing it with other people, you can take that next step once you're more comfortable with your writing. Next question, what is your Enneagram? I don't really look into this because I find it very frustrating and complicated, but I think I'm an Enneagram 4. Next question, how did I meet Nikki Philippi? Nikki just kind of found me. She popped into my DMs on Instagram when I had probably 2,000 followers on Instagram, and she had 400 400,000 plus followers on Instagram, and I was like, what is this person doing DMing me? And I was kind of like, girl, are you lost? But she was just so nice, and she kept connecting with me because she really liked my content, and we kind of just formed a relationship online. And anyone who knows Nikki knows that she will send you voice messages once you pass a certain level of friendship. So we started voice messaging and just becoming friends, and she was my first kind of YouTuber friend. She really showed me the ropes. She really gave me a lot of good advice when I first started out, and she's just a really great person. So if you haven't checked out her channel, I recommend it. The next question, do I have wedding planning advice? And I could make a whole video about this. I have blog posts about this if you're really interested in this topic. But my best advice is to focus on the marriage, not the wedding. If you're so focused on like the big day, you're not going to have as much fun on your wedding day, because no big day turns out the way you think it is. It's always things are gonna go wrong, things are gonna be weird, you're gonna feel stressed at times. But if you're just so excited about the marriage, if you're so looking forward to being with your husband, the day will automatically be fun. So I really encourage you, focus on the marriage, not so much the wedding. Obviously plan the essentials. And then my second piece of advice is make sure your guests are comfortable. Make sure the temperature is going to be comfortable. If you have a super hot summer wedding, make sure there's going to be access to maybe some air conditioning or shade. If you're going to have a fall or winter wedding, make sure it's going to be warm enough. I cannot stress this enough. You are going to want your guests to be comfortable, because then they are going to stay at your wedding longer. If your guests go hungry, if they are super cold or too hot, they will leave your wedding early, and it's not going to be as fun for you, because you're going to spend all this money and people aren't even going to really enjoy the party. So make sure the temperature is comfortable and that you have good food. The next question is, what books do I like to read? So even though I don't read devotionals, I do like the odd Christian book every once in a while, but I love fiction books. I love the books by Maeve Binchy. I've talked about those before. And then of course all the teen YA series. I've read them all. I really like mystery books. So nothing specific right now. I'm not reading anything amazing right now. So if you have recommendations, drop them below. Next question is, how do I edit my videos? I've answered this already, but I do this on iMovie, and I just got a computer for this, so now I do it on my computer. But for 7.5 months I was doing it on this here phone. Yes, you heard that right. I edit my videos on my phone, and I recorded them on my phone, and everything happened on my phone. Next advice is, do I have advice for a beginner YouTuber? My best advice is to have a schedule and be consistent with your audience, because I think some people just upload whenever they want to, and their audience doesn't really know when to expect a video from them. And I think one of the things that really helped my channel, especially in the beginning, was that people knew when I would upload. They knew kind of the day, the time, and they were ready and waiting for when I did upload. So I think having a schedule, because also then you kind of challenge yourself a little bit more to continue planning content ahead of time, and you'll just be much more consistent with it. The next question I've seen before, which is, would my husband quit his job if I was super successful with YouTube? And honestly, I don't think so. I never want to be in a position where we're fully dependent on YouTube, because then I feel like I would be too worried about what I said, so that I wouldn't get demonetized, or so that I could get sponsors. You know, I would never want to put myself in a position where I couldn't speak my beliefs or my ideas or anything like that, because of fear of not having money to pay our mortgage or something like that. But also, I think my husband really loves his job. He's really good at it, and I want to see him excel in his career and feel satisfied in that. So nope, I don't think he would ever quit his job. And the final question is, do I drink alcohol? Yes, but I don't go crazy with it. I like a glass of wine at a wedding or with dinner. I don't like mixed drinks. I will drink the occasional beer. It's nothing crazy, but yes, I do drink alcohol. So that is 50 questions, but yeah, 50 questions all about yours truly. And if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that you feel like you know me a little bit better, or at least know more information about me. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please click the like button. It does help grow our community. And if you're interested in more of this content, I have some older Q&As. I have 2 more Q&As on my channel, as well as some, blog posts that kind of talk a little bit more about me and my life, if that's what you're into. And in general, I hope that you have a wonderfully blessed and cozy week, my sisters. I am about to continue enjoying this fire, eat some breakfast, and hang out with my husband and dog. So thank you for watching and have a great week.